Hey everyone, before today's video begins, just a quick announcement for you all. So tomorrow, December 23rd, marks the official start of the Overwatch League free agency window opening, and I'm going to be celebrating live on my YouTube channel with a stream starting at 2 p.m. Eastern time, and we'll go for like a good 3 to 5 hours probably. And within that time, we'll just be celebrating the fact that free agency is finally getting underway. We're going to react to news live as it happens, we'll break all of it down, and we'll also just talk about OWL in general. So if that sounds interesting to you and you want to hang out and enjoy the live festivities alongside me, be sure to check in on the stream starting at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Thanks for your time, and now enjoy the video. Some big news dropped last night when it was announced that the minimum age required to play in the Overwatch League has gone down from 18 to 17 years old. On the surface, this might just seem like a pretty minor thing, right? Oh, what's the difference? It's 1 year. No one cares about Overwatch anyway these days. Blah, blah, blah. But it actually makes a massive difference in the grand scheme of it, which is why I wanted to talk about this today. By moving the minimum age requirement to 17, it could tremendously change the landscape of the competitive environment within this league. All you have to do is think about the numerous players throughout the years who sat there biding their time just waiting for their chance because they weren't old enough. Think about somebody like Patty Pan who desperately wanted to join the league but couldn't, so he went on to Valorant for a while, and that might have overall just changed his interest in Overwatch because he left us before a season even ended. He accomplished his dream and then that was it. He was gone. And think about some of the major what ifs that go down. Some of these players who had such bright futures just to have it be taken away from them. A big name I can think of is Flower, the 2017 World Cup legend. He couldn't participate in the inaugural season of the Overwatch League because he just wasn't old enough at the time, and that's kind of what put his career on a downward trend. But if this kind of rule was present back then he could have been a part of the inaugural season when he was at his biggest and when the hype was at the highest for him and when his confidence was at the highest. Maybe he could have continued that momentum from the World Cup and continued to be that amazing player instead of seeing what he ended up turning into today. And on top of that, there's a lot of other amazing players out there that just don't get talked about because they're not old enough. You hear hype about them, but you ultimately know you're still not going to see them at least for another year. It's what happened with Sparkle and Proper and a bunch of other guys. All these guys have to bide their time and just wait and continue to build their resume, but not everybody's able to do such a thing. For some people, it does more harm than good. It destroys their motivation. Maybe they get worse in that time that they have to wait. There's so many different factors that can affect that when some of these players are at their peak. Because like 16 through 18 is when a lot of professional gamers seem to be at the height of their abilities. So you want to have younger players if at all possible, because that just means more skill in your league and more exciting teams, better competition, all of that stuff. Not to mention that it widens the talent pool that we have, both with current teams and with upcoming free agency classes indefinitely. You never know when the next Proper is just around the corner. It heavily increases the chances we will get another one of that caliber very, very soon. And what's cool is people can start trialing now when they're 16 going on 17, like they'll turn 17 either before the league starts or like right after. It just really widens up the amount of scouting you can do. There's so many hidden gems and exciting prospects on the way with this type of move, and I am all for it. There's probably already a couple of big names out there who now all of a sudden have a chance of making the league after seeming like they'd have to wait for another year. The big one that comes to mind that I discussed in a previous video is Junbin. I didn't realize he was 17 at the time, so I didn't realize that he'd be ineligible for another year, but now that problem's out the window, and thank goodness, because Junbin is probably the best possible tank prospect out there, or at least one of them. And I'm sure there's lots of other names out there too. I'm not the biggest contenders guy out there, but I'm sure a lot of you in the comment section know exactly who is old enough now. That's really exciting to look out for. So be sure to let all of the people out there know down in the comments below who to look out for now that this age limit has gone down from 18 to 17. Overall, I really like the move, as it only means we're going to get more budding stars in this league and that our competition will be heightened even further. However, there are some problems that come with the timing of this move. Obviously, it's a great thing for the league's future, but announcing it this late into the off-season is somewhat problematic, and some people have already come out and complained about such a thing. General manager of the Florida Mayhem has expressed this on Twitter by saying, "Very cool that OWL minimum age is 17 now, but did we need to wait until the middle of the off-season to decide this?" And I mean, yeah, he proves a good point. Like usual, Overwatch League is just not punctual at all. Everything feels random. It's cool that this time he actually knew it was coming, But why did we have to wait so long? Why isn't this a decision that we could have made earlier? It helps a lot with preparation and decision making, and now can kind of throw a lot of things in a loop. And I say that because, for one, a lot of these amazing 17-year-olds might not find a home for the time being because a lot of teams are already so far advanced into their offseason and have made a lot of verbal agreements. But on the other hand, some teams could drop away from their verbal agreements now in honor of some of these other amazing 17-year-old prospects that are on the market that you want to get your hands on because they could be life-changing. And that's kind of what Albert said. He says that the timing can hypothetically put teams in a position where they need to decide to honor a verbal or end up pursuing a newly eligible player. It causes a lot of complications and maybe some drama this offseason. Some of these players are depending on these checks to get on through and to pay bills and to make rent and all of that stuff, and now they might be without that contract all of a sudden just because of this rule change that occurred literally right as free agency is about to begin. Like, the timing of this all is a very, very bizarre thing, but because it's Overwatch League and they love to fumble things, I can't say I'm all that surprised. I mean, they've already moved the free agency window before without telling anybody, and a lot of GMs found out through Twitter, so this kind of feels like a walk in the park compared to that. But just know that some disasters could end up on the way this offseason because of this type of thing. I'm gonna pray that's not the case, but we're in a really weird spot now where it could end up happening. Sudden changes like this are just never good. I like the intentions of this. It's fine to do this. It's really a good idea for the future, but this is something you probably should have decided on a lot earlier, as it could screw over a bunch of people throughout the way. The intentions are really good, and I think we could see a lot of upcoming superstars now, which is absolutely amazing for our future and the competitive integrity of everything. But beyond that, the timing's weird, and I wish they could have handled this a lot better. But hey, what else is new? I feel like this is always what we're dealing with in this league sometimes. It's pretty ridiculous. What can you do? Let me know what you think about this new rule change down in the comment section. But before I head out of here, might as well do a little bit of a news recap, so to speak. So just recently, today actually, as I'm recording this, the Houston Outlaws have officially parted ways with their support player, Lastro. He had a pretty good season for them, both as like a main slash flex support. He kind of did everything the team asked of him and was really solid throughout the way. So it is kind of unfortunate to see him go. He was a really solid in-game leader for this group, but the rumor is that the Outlaws are potentially set to sign both Shu and Skewed, so there might not really be room for Lastro anymore at this point. It really is a shame, as I thought Lastro really was good, maybe outside of like the playoffs when he crumbled a bit, but generally he did whatever Houston asked of him and was just a really great player that needs to find another spot in this league ASAP. But he'll be joining a bunch of other departures in Houston's recent news, as both Dante and Merritt are off the team as well. So they're essentially just starting from scratch with the exception of Pelican, but who knows, maybe even he could be off the team before we know it. It's kind of a bittersweet moment for Houston fans. I mean, they lost their franchise player. Dante was everything for them these last 4 years or so. He did everything that was ever asked of him. He never complained. He played for some bad teams, swapped onto different roles, carried them for years. He did absolutely everything. He put his heart and soul into this Houston team, and I just wish that he could have won a championship for them. But now, he must go his separate ways with this team. He's on to a new team probably very soon, be it on DPS or tank, and the Outlaws are moving on from him to probably pursue a Korean roster, and that roster could be very exciting if it does end up coming true. So that's why it's bittersweet. It sucks to see Dante, their franchise player, go, but now their future could be really amazing, and they could be on their way to competing for a title yet again, but this time with an even more exciting roster. As for the Merritt thing, this one's a bit tougher, as he was really good for them, a really promising young player. But the Florida Mayhem probably wanted a lot of money for him, so I think it's kind of an okay thing for Houston in this situation. They're giving away Merritt in order to pursue Happy most likely. But for the Mayhem, this is a pretty big W. I'd say that Merritt's ceiling is a bit higher than Hydron's, and he gives them a real opportunity to level up, as again, he looked really good on just about everything he played. So I'm pretty happy for the Mayhem. This is a nice move. Bittersweet for Houston, but I think that at least everybody is kind of in a situation where they could end up winning from this. Anyway, that's pretty much all I've got for you. Just wanted to give you a bit of bonus coverage for those of you who might not keep up on social media. So there you go. But that basically concludes today's video. Let me know what you think about all of this Houston stuff going on, as well as the age limit being changed down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video and you want more content just like it, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel if you're new. And until next time, This is ATP, signing out. Peace.